In episode 98, I talked about being the gifted underachiever and the 5 pivotal elements to becoming the empowered achiever. While I was creating that episode, it occurred to me that there are many traumatic life experiences, big and small, when we don't have well-developed executive function skills. We need to acknowledge them in light of our underdeveloped executive function skills so that we can embark on our extraordinary healing journey and manifest the pure potential that's contained within us. When I first created Adventures in Achievement in December 2016, it was mostly training and coaching related to ADHD in adults. It became clear to me very quickly that it was our executive function skills and not solely ADHD that was the needed focus for the program. Since then, it has evolved into what it is today, a unique, transformative 7-month journey that fleshes out traumatic experiences and associations by training our core executive function foundational skills. And it's not enough for us to develop our executive function skills and strategies I've been learning. That's one piece of the puzzle. The other pieces have shown themselves to me over the past 5 years, and now they are essential in the program. The 5 elements woven into the Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills program are an executive function assessment, identifying and releasing limiting beliefs and outdated identities, acquiring pre-skills, developing executive function skills and strategies, and maintaining your achievements for a lifetime, because everything in life requires maintenance. I had the honor of studying with Jim Rohn back in the 1980s, and when Jim said, "For things to change, you have to change," I didn't understand this concept to the depth that I do today. He was talking about changing from the inside out, and that we can't remain as the current version of ourselves if we are to expand into the pure potential of our being.
Welcome to the Living Beyond ADHD podcast. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and actionable steps on hot topics from focus to follow-through to self-management and more, you are in the right place. Welcome your host, innovative educator, coach, and psychotherapist, Dr. B.
I've talked about my vision before and looking 7 generations out into the world and how things look when we are all fully equipped with our core executive function life skills. For those of you who are raising children, you can put a stop to their suffering right now by developing these executive function skills for yourself and then teaching them to your children. And for those of you who work with children, you can do the same. I've often thought if we had all been taught just one executive function skill per year while we were a captive audience in grade school, middle school, high school, we would be fully equipped to move out into the world with all the foundational executive function skills and abilities that most of us just don't have these days. And whether the cause of the derailment of your executive function skills is cumulative trauma or something else, these skills just don't reboot themselves up. They need to be taught in a way similar to how we would have learned them growing up. So what kind of traumas am I referring to when I think of the traumatic journey through life without well-developed executive function skills? Initially, I'm thinking about the smaller and more subtle things, like knowing when to interject your thoughts or feelings into a conversation. I didn't know the cues or the timing of social interactions when I was a kid, so I sat and I listened a lot of the time. I was describing the experience of learning to jump rope with a long jump rope, not double dutch, but just the single rope that comes around. And you need to figure out when to jump in so you don't get hit by the rope. It's a timing issue, and you need foresight to see when the timing is right and start to move into the space of the rope or wait for it to come around again so you don't get hit. It's similar with conversations between people. We can either talk over each other or impulsively speak because we're afraid of losing our thoughts, or ramble through a disorganized mind on our way to the point we want to make. We do have a choice, even if it doesn't seem like it. We do. We can develop our executive function skills, and every skill that we develop gives us more choices or options in life, not to overwhelm us, but rather to live outside of the prison of limitations. When I created Adventures in Achievement, it was not my intention to trigger traumatic memories connected with each topic or skill in the program, not at all. This is not the case for all students. However, more and more are remembering. And with each group of students making the journey, there are traumatic memories arising that are connected with making decisions or managing their time or releasing outdated procrastinating moments or seeing the reality of their life situation and what is possible for them. These traumatic memories are often rooted in limiting beliefs, an outdated sense of self, as well as the skills that we didn't have and how we made it through those various life experiences. These are the traumatic experiences and memories that I'm talking about. One of the executive function skills that comes to mind right now is inhibiting. This skill is about pausing so that we can engage our prefrontal cortex and proactively think and act rather than react. Some of us are overly inhibited, others are under-inhibited, and many of us are both. So no matter what the condition of your executive function inhibiting skill is, it's a skill, and it can be developed and refined to serve you rather than hurt you. As you can hear, I'm not referring to other types of trauma, such as abuse, abandonment, neglect, or PTSD, since the ADHD Foundational Skills Program is not a therapy program. Its modalities include training, coaching, and community support. If you're suffering from past traumas of these other types, you can heal and move on in your life with the right healing modalities and the right professional support for you. Traumatic experiences can either hold us back or empower us. It's not the experiences themselves that are responsible for the outcomes. It's the meanings. It's the meanings that we give to our traumatic experiences. They can shape us into a gifted underachiever, and we can continue in this way for our entire lifetime, imprisoned by our limiting beliefs and outdated identities that would have us reliving our traumatic experiences in the now when they happened decades ago. Or the meanings we give our traumatic experiences can shape us into empowered achievers, where we use what's happened to decide what it means about us in terms of the positives, and use that power to move forward and get our needs met and flourish. When traumatic experiences steal our dreams, it's because we've decided we are damaged for life. This is a huge limiting belief because you're not damaged for life. You are a human being and you can heal. It's an innate ability we human beings all have. This is the journey. If you want your life to be different, if you want transformational changes, you will have to change from the inside out. You will need to be the person who can have those changes that you want in an ongoing way. This is how transformational change happens. You release the limitations on you, being the person and having the life you're seeking, and you build the foundational skills to support you in that life. So what's been traumatic for you, my gifted underachievers? I'll share a traumatic experience to help you get in touch with yours due to the meaning you gave it and what needs healing for you. Third grade was a traumatic year for me, and looking back, I can see how I made it so by the meanings I gave the experiences I had. Here's the event without any meaning, just the facts. We moved from one school system to another. The new school system started in September, not February, where I originally started, and so I either needed to repeat half of third grade or skip half of third grade and advance into the fourth grade. My parents and the school people decided I should repeat half of third grade. The meaning that I gave this event, which was an assumption, not a fact, was that my parents and the school people felt I was stupid. Otherwise, they would have advanced me into fourth grade. And the impact on me due to my meaning, not the event itself, is that I felt stupid and took that one event and used it all the way into my college years, pursuing advanced degrees as a means of proving that I wasn't stupid. Third grade, all the way through all the years of college. Wow. I eventually released this meaning because it was never true, only true to me because of the meaning that I gave that event in third grade. This third grade event may not seem traumatic to you, just as some of your traumatic events may not seem traumatic to me. However, we all create our own realities with the meanings that we give things, and we need to respect each other's realities. Meanings are just that, a meaning or an interpretation that we give to something and hold it to be true when it's just our made-up meaning. If I had asked my parents and the school people if they thought I was stupid, they would have said no. I asked my mother years later about this, and she told me that the decision was made because of my size and that someone felt that I would be more comfortable and felt that I would fit in more easily by being with the new third graders instead of the fourth graders, basically due to my size being petite for my age in third grade. Their motivation was to help me adjust to the new school, not to hurt me. This is the power of meanings given without checking with others as to whether or not my meaning was true. What hurtful meanings have you given to events in your life and kept for years and years and years? Can you see some of them now? I hope so. Let's move out of trauma experiences for now and into positive ones. That means wins. For those of you who have been longtime listeners, you know that I'm big on wins and their importance in your life. There's another important aspect to focusing on wins, and that is that you're training your mind every day to notice what's right with you, what's right with what you're doing, and what's right in the world. In other words, wins. And especially during a time in our world history when it would be easy to ignore what's right or good or amazing. This is exactly what we need to be focusing on to keep the level of positives within us high so that we can offset the high level of negatives that we're bombarded with every day. Having a wins mindset will transform how you experience your life if you let it, even during very challenging times like now. how you experience your life, and the meanings that you give the events of your life contribute greatly to the quality of your life. Like I was talking about earlier, we don't always have control over the events or the experiences. However, we do have control over the meaning that we give to them. Remember, nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. So be mindful of the meanings you give your experiences so they can empower you. We know that what you focus on grows, and that it's important to stand guard at the doorway to your mind and not let in things that don't serve you. So why focus on anything but wins? That way, you will continue to attract more and more wins into your life, all leading you to the state of mind and life you want. You are a precious child of God and the universe, and are called a human being, not a human doing, for good reason. You don't have to earn your value. You were born with it. Your value comes from who you are, not what you do. And if you need a place to know that's true, be sure to join the Facebook group Living Beyond ADHD for podcast listeners, so you can be with others who will celebrate your wins with you and affirm that you're more than okay as you, the human being. So what's it going to be for you today? If you've decided to explore the meanings that you've given to your experiences and even challenge them, that's an awesome win. If you've decided to focus on learning a new executive function skill, that's a wonderful win. And if you decided to reparent yourself with patience and compassion, that's an amazing win. You get the point. Celebrate all of them. And none of this half-hearted celebrating. You've got to mean it. Exaggerate your emotions. Yes, wow, awesome. Be sure to celebrate your wins, big and small, because celebrating daily builds consistency. And consistency is important, and it makes a faster difference in your life. How much time do we have? Not much. So let's get to it.
This podcast is sponsored by Pure Potential with Dr. B. You can head over to drbarbaracohen.com and find the podcast episodes and transcripts. Great free content, plus information on programs and products, including the groundbreaking online ADDventures in Achievement Foundational Skills Training and Coaching Program. You can also learn about Dr. B's masterclasses on decision-making, time management, and banishing procrastination. That's drbarbaracohen.com.
Many of you have taken on limiting beliefs as a result of your past traumatic experiences and what others have repeatedly said to you about you. You've also given meanings to experiences from your past that are hurting you currently, and they have been for years. You are the meaning maker in your life, and you get to decide what something means. Remember, nothing has any meaning except the meaning you give it. Nothing. Let's look at 5 common traumatic experiences growing up without well-developed executive function skills and how to start releasing the cumulative stress or emotional distress syndrome that I referred to in episode 98. You never had enough time to finish your schoolwork or other work. You never felt you were good enough despite your high IQ or giftedness. You became a perfectionist so you would avoid the criticism of others. You break your promises to others and yourself all the time. You feel like an imposter or a fake, and you fear being found out or exposed. The first thing to understand about these 5 traumatic experiences is that they are literally instructions to your mind, programming you to believe that you will never have enough time, never be good enough, must stay a perfectionist, will always break promises, and live in a state of hypervigilance and fear of exposure. You have literally programmed your mind to give you that life. And it's not even the life you really want. Remember, the programming of your mind isn't personal. It's not. If you say it's true for you, then it's true for you, even if it's not true for hundreds of other people. So let me get you a little relief from a traumatic experience, if you're game, with the following steps. 1, pick a traumatic experience that you would rate as a 1 or a 2 on a scale of 10, 10 being the highest. A 1 or a 2, like my 3rd grade experience. This is very important because you're learning a new skill, and jumping in at a 9 or a 10 is just plain old abusive to yourself when you don't yet have the skill developed. So please don't. 2, briefly write down the facts of the experience, just like I gave you. 3, briefly write down the meaning you gave those facts, like I shared with you about my experience. 4, create a little distance from the experience, which is perspective and automatic meaning you gave it, and see if you can come up with at least 6 other meanings for those same facts. Do your best to come up with 6 empowering meanings rather than negative or disempowering. 5, try on each of those 6 meanings, one at a time, and allow yourself to feel what it feels like to have that as your meaning for the experience. Make note of your response or your feelings and continue with each of them and do the same. 6, were you able to get to a meaning for your traumatic experience that neutralized it as I did with my 3rd grade experience? 7, how do you feel with your empowering meaning for your experience? If you feel more space around you, more freedom in your mind from reframing the traumatic experience that you chose for this exercise, choose another experience that's also a 1 or a 2 on the scale of 10. Please. You want to give yourself plenty of practice time to develop this skill before you move on to more charged experiences. And when you do move on, only move on to a 3 or a 4, not a 10. Reframing is a powerful tool once it becomes a part of you. And it can only become a part of you if you practice 1s and 2s, and then 3s and 4s. Please take your time. I'm curious, who will you be without your traumatic experiences defining you? You've lived with them for so long, you might feel a loyalty to them and feel strange about the idea of releasing them or transforming them with reframing. If this is your experience, consider, what is it doing for you to keep them and keep yourself living in traumatic moments? What is the message that you're sending to yourself or others about your life's journey thus far when you keep yourself stuck in reliving traumatic experiences? That's a deep, deep question to sit with for a while. Take your time and really give some thought to this question of who you will be without trauma. I want you all to know that there is real hope for resolving your traumatic journey, as well as the challenges that you're experiencing with limiting beliefs, outdated identities, and underdeveloped executive function skills. The widespread needless suffering of millions of adults around the world has to stop. And I'm doing what I can to stop it with this generation, with us. We all need to address our limiting beliefs and underdeveloped executive function skills if we want to live the life that's possible for us with those changes. We have to be the person who lives the life we say we want, not struggle to live the life we say that we want, so that we can become the person someday who has that life. We're doing it backwards. We all need to heal our traumatic experiences so that we can release ourselves from our self-imposed prisons and soar with our gifts and dreams in today's world. If we're saddled with the weight of a lifetime of traumatic experiences, how will we ever fly free and live fully? And if we can't plan, organize, prioritize, get started, and keep going until the end, or regulate states of overwhelm or conscious focusing, we won't be able to make good decisions and know it when we make them. The load of disempowering stuff that keeps us stuck as gifted underachievers is heavy and costs us dearly. Please slow down and become a student of your own life. Understand what you need to succeed with the multifaceted brain that you have. Take action on what you learn about yourself. This is the life work that lies ahead of you if this is your time. You came to this lifetime with an empowering gift. We all did. And I would love it if each and every person on this planet were able to express his or her unique, empowering gifts freely, without the threat of being shamed or criticized. Let's put an end to that stigma once and for all and live as empowered achievers. A favorite quote of mine. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be." What this quote says to me is pretty simple. If it is to be, it's up to me. I am 100% responsible 100% of the time for the outcomes in my life, and that includes who I become. And this is true for each and every one of you as well. Are you ready to accept the responsibility, your ability to respond and decide who you're going to be rather than deferring to what you've allowed external circumstances to shape you into? Whether you're learning from my podcast episodes, free resources, or working with me directly, I want you to live your best life, if that's what you want for yourself. I can't force you to live your best life. However, I can encourage, push a bit, if that's what you need from me, and even rally the close community of your fellow travelers to support you as well. However, the choice remains with you. You get to choose to continue living as the gifted underachiever or decide it's time to upgrade to living as the empowered achiever and all that awaits you in that life. So here's the path today. Make it a priority to get your copy of 13 Signs Weak Executive Functioning is Holding You Back. Next, get on the information list for the Adventures in Achievement Foundational Skills Program to learn how you can build your executive function skills and strategies the Dr. B way. Open enrollment is coming soon, so get prepared now so you know if this is your time and your opportunity knocking. I hope it is, and that we will be working together soon. And if you want a place to hang out with like-minded listeners to my show, you can ask to join the Living Beyond ADHD Facebook group. Be sure you're mindful when you're asking, meaning You answer the few questions we ask so you can be approved into the group. Otherwise, it won't happen because we don't chase. And once you're a member of the group, be sure to visit often and engage with us. Joining and never visiting again doesn't help you at all. This is about you following through. The Facebook group isn't a training group, although there are great posts to learn from and a supportive community to surround yourself with, and that's worth a lot. As a member of the Living Beyond ADHD Facebook group, you will hear about training opportunities sooner. And if you're also on the Adventures and Achievement Foundational Skills information list, you will hear about training opportunities as well. However, you do have to open and read your emails in order to know of these new opportunities that I'm offering you. I promise that we won't flood your inbox with tons of emails. However, when we do send them, they have important information in them for you. Be sure that you read them if you're seeking transformation. Some of them are even time sensitive, and you don't want to miss out. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share this podcast with others. I would also be grateful if you'd rate the show and write a positive or inspiring review on iTunes so I know that I'm meeting your needs. That helps the ratings, and more people like you will get to know about the show and be helped. That's you making a difference in others' lives, and that means a lot to me. Are you ready to stop your needless suffering? Have you had enough? Be sure to check out the show notes for the links and the opportunities available to you. There are real solutions to the challenges you're experiencing. Time is our most precious asset, and none of us has time to waste on solutions that don't work. I would love to help you realize a new freedom. That is, if that's of interest to you. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much for listening today. If you're eager to make positive changes in your life and stop overwhelm and confusion from derailing you, head over to drbarbaracohen.com and see how Dr. B can help you today. Whether you love learning in an online group environment with personalized coaching or prefer the pace of guided self-study, Dr. B offers the skills, strategies, and individual support you need. Get started on your journey today by visiting the website at drbarbaracohen.com.